Early morning,
Right, thank you everyone for joining us again today. The Sunday, the 11th of July, 2021. We've already crossed the 6 months in year 2021, and before you know it, we're just right back at December and getting ready to enter another year, which will be 2021. But guess what? On the political scene in Nigeria, things are moving very, very fast. And on this program today, as usual, we have it every two weeks with the coordinator of the Yoruba Referendum Committee, Mr. Femi Odedeyi. He's again with us today. And the past 2 weeks, many things have happened, and we will be going through that today. So please do stay on with us. We've got about 1 hour to trash those things. And we will be right back after this short session. Yeah, you are welcome, Mr. Femi Odedeyi. Thanks for joining us today on the program.
Good afternoon, and thanks for
trying to get that done.
Good afternoon. Can you see
Good
me?
afternoon. I hope you are hearing me very well, sir.
Yes, I am. Can you hear me very well?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us again today.
Okay, thank you for the invitation and for having me on your program.
Great. You're welcome, sir.
Yeah.
Within the past 2 weeks, like I mentioned in the intro for this program today, many things have happened. And I'm sure you've also been keeping track of those things.
Yeah.
But as usual, I think we on this particular session and the program every two weeks, we always try to get where we are with the ongoing petition for Yoruba Referendum Committee. Are you able to give us sort of an update on that, sir?
Yes, we are over 9,000. I think 9,100 and something and we are inching towards our target of 10,000. That will be the second batch, which we want to submit to the governors and the houses of assembly. We are about 9,100 and something as at this morning, and we expect more signatures. We expect to reach our thresholds in a week maximum, and we use this opportunity to thank all those who have signed and who have been sharing for others to sign, because that's the only way we can get these things done. And those who have not signed, we also encourage them to come on board, because as you said, a lot of things are happening, and we cannot just fold our arms and watch it happen for history to be made in our absence. So we want to be part of it. So we thank those who have signed, and we thank those who are yet to sign, and we particularly thank those who are sharing it, because that's the way to get more and more people to come on board. So we thank everybody. Yeah, 9,200 and something. So it's we are making progress. Thank you. We are making progress. And okay. I can also speculate, this is speculation, that our houses of assembly and our governors, they are also watching this, because every message that we send out, we always ask them to confirm what we are saying by putting the link in there, that if they want to ascertain by themselves, they can also go to the link and find out. And we believe that they are doing that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I will obviously bring us right back here, and it's just to state again that the threshold of 10,000, when it reaches 10,000, what exactly is your committee or your group going to do, or what have you done before this stage?
Okay, when we reach 5,000, we sent the batch to the governors and the houses of assembly. We led, and including the bill for the referendum, we sent it to them to say that we have reached 5,000 signatures. This is what we want, and all that. So we now said, when we reach 10,000, we are going to send them the same thing, just to show them that we have reached 10,000. So 10,000 is not our limit. What we have just said is that at every 5,000, we will be sending them to the governors and to the houses of assembly to know, so that they will know the progress that we are making, to know the progress that is being made, so that they can also be in the loop, in the know of what is going on. So when we reach this 10,000, we are going to send it to them that we have reached 10,000. We will also, as usual, include the bill for a referendum, which they already have, but just to show that the consistency in what we are doing. So we will send it to them, and then we will aim to reach 15,000. Then when we get to 15,000, we will do the same thing, because I mean, anywhere you read about Yoruba people, Yoruba issues, we always claim that we are about 50,000 or 50 million or 40 million. Yes. So our calculation is that if we have such a large number of Yoruba people worldwide, nothing stops us from having a minimum of 100,000 signatures demanding for a referendum for Yoruba people to have a geopolitical government space of their own that they can relate with anywhere they are in the world, that they can call their own, and then they can contribute towards its development. So this will be just the second time. So once we get to 10,000, we will shoot for 15,000.
Okay, thank you very much for that. People have been asking about referendum.
Yes.
Some people were saying that they've been hearing referendum from different groups and Yoruba groups for that matter. So one of the questions that has come out is what's different about this referendum, and why are those groups not actually coming together to focus on just one referendum?
Yeah. Okay. Well, where do I start? Let me start with why we are different, why we are doing what we want. In Nigeria, Yoruba land is divided, is atomized into at least 6 states. Then you have Yoruba people in Kwara and Kogi states who, since 1953 or thereabout, have been demanding that they be united with their Yoruba kin and kith and kin in the West. You have Ekiti people in Kwara State who are not part of Ekiti State in Yoruba land. You have Okun people in Osun, the people from Osun State, who are divided between Osun State and Kwara State. So you have all these things. So to address that, one of the reasons is that is one of the reasons for the Yoruba referendum, that we want all Yoruba people in Nigeria to be under one government. That was the way, what we call our golden era in the Western region in those days. That was how it came about. That the action group government won the election. They created a government for the whole Western region, which stretched from the present-day Lagos all the way to the present-day Delta State. And they were able to do what they were able to do at that time because we had one regional government. And I want to use that opportunity just for a slight diversion, because sometimes when people talk about quote unquote ethnicity and diversity and all the rest of it, they will be talking, and in particular, let me mention his name, Dr. Femi Odedeyi, who is the president of the African Development Bank, gave a lecture over the weekend where he was talking about ethnicity and diversity and Singapore and all the rest of it. So I just want to point out that in the Western region in those days, all the benefits that the Western region did pertain to everybody living in that region. That even people who are living Eastern and Northern regions to come to Western region to benefit from the free education policies. So at that point, based on the circumstances at that point, there was diversity. We did not discriminate against non-Yoruba people. It was for anybody living in that place. So it's the same thing. So when they now start talking about when you have this and that, there will be no diversity, as if diversity is only about inter-ethnic compartmentalization. No, in our own region, and Yoruba cultural experience also bear witness that the Yoruba do not discriminate against non-Yoruba people. We welcome them. So the question of diversity does not arise because it's part of our existence. So that's the diversion I just quickly want to make. That's why we said the Yoruba people need to be under one regional government so that we'll be able to decide the best way forward for ourselves. And for us to do that, it is incumbent on our houses of assembly and the governors, because the governors have to assent to the law. So it is incumbent on our houses of assembly to pass the bill for that referendum. That's the purpose of that referendum. All the states to be under one regional government. We can now decide how many states we want to have. Each city can become a state if we want it that way. We can decide that. But first of all, we must have that regional administration that will be able to chart the way forward for us and be able to negotiate with the rest of the peoples of Nigeria. That is our central focus. Why other groups are not for, you see, this is a political issue. The whole question of referendum is a political issue. There are several groups that have been in existence for a long time. They have their perception of what they expect or what they want to achieve, and they are moving in that perception. So when they get confronted with something different, there may be some initial resistance. You know, they want to know how it can fit into their own perspectives. And sometimes they may not, they will just do it individually. And that's why when we set up the committee, the first thing we did was that it's not going to be a coalition of organizations, because to have a coalition of organizations would mean each organization will bring its own baggage into that coalition, and before you know it, we will start fighting each other. So we discarded that idea and said it's a committee specifically devoted to agitating for this referendum. One of the major issues is who will conduct the referendum. Like I said, we have said it is incumbent on our legislatures and the governors to conduct the referendum because they have the means and legal and valid reasons for doing so. Some said that they have to go to the United Nations to come and conduct the referendum for us. And for us, that is even a contradiction in terms. It's a violation of self-determination for us to go to the United Nations to come and decide for us what we can do for ourselves. So if we say we want self-determination, the first step we have to take, and in fact, the concept defines itself, self-determination. You are the self. You have to take the step. If you need help or additional support, you can ask for it. But you cannot talk about self-determination and go to a foreign agency to come and do it for you. You are not pursuing self-determination. All you are doing is maybe whatever it is that you want to call it. That is one. Two, most of the international agencies that they are appealing to, UK, United Nations, which is controlled by the United States, United Kingdom, France, Russia, and China. At least three of them were former colonial powers. They are the permanent members of the Security Council where decisions are taken. So you cannot now go to Britain and say, come and do this for us. Because if Britain, we all know that the problem of Nigeria was through colonial rule. So when they are talking about the mistake of 1914, I think a lot of people got Ahmadu Bello wrong. Ahmadu Bello was not talking about the amalgamation of the North and South as the mistake. He was talking about the mistake as not allowing the North to have control over Nigeria. And that was corrected when they did the census and gave North political hegemony. So there's no mistake in 1914. The only mistake was they did what Sadana was referring to was that they did not give the North enough power to have control or dominion over the rest of the country. So, and now these are the same people you now want to go to come and say, come on. So it speaks to the psyche of the black man. It speaks to the psyche of the African. It speaks to the psyche of self-determination to go to your enemy to come and save you. So you have to look at the concept and the self-defining nature, which is self-determination. So it is something you have to do, or you start for yourself, and then you can seek assistance if it is necessary. The third angle speaks about Nigeria conducting a referendum. That is even worse than asking Britain, and at least with Britain and the UK and France and all that, you can still appeal to the conscience of the peoples in those countries who are also undergoing fundamental changes, like in the US, where you have all these struggles against systemic racism and all the rest of it, you can unite with them and fight. But in Nigeria's case, one, there is no valid census in Nigeria. Two, all the political institutions have been rigged in favor of the North. Three, the bureaucratic and National Assembly and all the rest of them have been rigged in favor of the North. Four, there are so many cultures in Nigeria that you cannot place the future of any culture in the hands of another. Each culture must be able to define its own. That is what self-determination means. So to even ask Nigeria to come and conduct a referendum is by definition flatly wrong. So with all that, when we now have this contention, it is our responsibility and our duty to explain things to each other. And those who agree with us will agree with us. Those who don't, they may not, but we have the responsibility to explain not only to the organizations, but to the rest of the world why we are doing what we are doing. And some of the issues is what I've explained, that, these are the reasons why we said it is the Yoruba Houses of Assembly that can do this. And then we know that many members of different organizations have even signed the petitions, because they will call us and tell us, look, we have signed this, our members have signed this, our members have done that, which we appreciate, because we all recognize the need for what we are doing. Meanwhile, as long as we engage each other with decorum, with civility, we oppose each other with facts and figures and experience, and information that will edify, that will educate people, that will let them know what is going on in other parts of the world. That will also boost all our collective efforts. So we are not shy of engaging in any debate with anyone, but all we want to do is to alert the generality of Yoruba people worldwide as to the necessity, as to what it means to be what self-determination really means. The fullest expression of you as an individual, and human being created by God. And so we have to do all in our power to make sure that it happens. And furthermore, one of the problems that Africa had during the wave of independence was the issue of colonial borders. So you now have Yoruba in Benin Republic, you have them in Togo, you have them all the way to Ghana and all the rest of it. But we are in different countries, but we are the same nation, Yoruba nation, all over the place. So how can you even ask Nigeria to come and define your fate for you? That is not, because they will be determining the fate of the Yoruba in Benin Republic and all the rest of it in Brazil and all the rest. So, and that was why some members at that time, led by the Nkrumah group, what they call the Casablanca group, said that all African borders are artificial borders, which is true factually and historically, that they are artificial in existence. But for what they call peace and all that, so they now compromised, and then they now created what they now call the African Union, which used to be as the OAU. And then the first thing they did was to reiterate the inviolability of those colonial borders, which was a defeat for the Nkrumah group. So all these things need to be taken into consideration when we are talking about self-determination, when we are talking about referendum or whatever pathway that we want to choose to achieve it. So to now expect the international agencies as the first line of defense is to miss the way completely. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. We will be heading to a short ad break. Now, when we come back, we will start looking at the current issues or the ongoing events and circumstances right back home in
Okay.
Nigeria at the moment. So please do stay on with us. Right, listeners, we'll be right back in few secs.
Àpèdè má pè tànà, ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ ròde ìbànújẹ́, èèwọ̀ òrìṣà. Ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ́ba ń jó, gbogbo wa ló mọ̀ yẹ. Ká mú pátì dùn, ṣebí tiwa ni. Àrà ò ní tán nílé alára, láíláí. Ilé mo borin, ilé mo bálù. Àtàndá ti ṣẹ́kọ̀ náà. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń fẹ́ wa, ẹ máa ṣe gan-an.
Méjì láyé tó dorin lọ, orin ṣá ni iṣẹ́ mi ò tó dá mi lójú. Ẹ pè wá síbi ayẹyẹ ìyẹn nígbàkúgbà. Yẹjẹ́ méjì sá pléyọ̀ o, oṣù ọjọ́ ọlá mi mẹ́tì ló ń pèdè. Ẹ̀mújó akọrin bí ẹni jẹ̀kọ́ o, ìjòyà. Ọlá mi mẹ́tì ló ń pèdè. Ẹ̀mújó akọrin bí ẹni jẹ̀kọ́, ìjòyà.
Àgbàrá òjò lówó nílé wo bí sọdún onílé ní òríkà fún un. Èyí ti rí èyí ti ṣe àkọ́kọ́ dáyé àṣebáyé fún kárìrì kanaka sọ̀rọ̀ balala kò pẹ́ kò jìnnà wọn láti gbọ́n. Ṣé Fúlàní yóò wá torí ìwà ni? Àgbààgbà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá ẹ dìde o. Ẹ̀yin Àgbẹ̀kọ̀yà ẹ dìde. Ogun Fúlàní ò gbọ́dọ̀ borí wa. Táàlì ló bá àdàtà yéṣu. Ẹ̀yin àgbààgbà ìlú kí ló dé o? Lẹ́yìn ìṣòro bí ewé kí ló dé? Ẹ̀yin ṣe èèyàn bí ọ̀gá èyí ti ṣe. Àgbà ìlú aṣòro yéèrè. Wọ́n bá wá ní bàbúbà ẹ̀fọ́ wọlé rán ẹ̀sìn ń lò rán. Àwọn oníkà tí Fúlàní bá gbẹ̀mí gbogbo lé tán. Ọjọ́ ọ̀la wá sórí ìgbà tí wọ́n bá fi.
Right, welcome back to the program. We're still on our program, your program, and that is Consciousness. And of course, you've been listening to Mr. Femi Odedeyi. We call him Alagba Femi Odedeyi. And he's from the Yoruba Referendum Committee. We'll be going to the next section of this program, where we'll be talking specifically about what is ongoing now and the implication for the Yoruba Liberation and the 2023 election. You are welcome back, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Am I on?
Yes, sir. You are on. I can see you clearly.
Okay. I can't see myself on my screen, but it's okay. As long as you can see me. Yeah.
Yes. The Yoruba Liberation, just like we've had from the other side, which is gearing towards a referendum on your side and maybe one or other two groups.
Yes.
But in the past 2 weeks, there have been some activities that could actually have an impact on the liberation as well as the 2023 election.
Yes.
One of the events we've had earlier was the arrest or the kidnap of Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya. We've now known that he's from Kenya, or we've heard and we've read that he was kidnapped by the federal government from Kenya. There are some people that believe that with Kanu's incarceration now, although there's still a court date that is set ahead, people believe that it could actually affect the 2023 election, whether in the conduct of his election itself or whatever result is going to come out from that election if conducted. But also on this part of the Yoruba liberation movement, We've also heard about the DSS assault on Sunday Igbo's Sunday Adeyemo, popularly known as Sunday Igbo's resident in Ibadan. And
Yes.
that has actually made, because if we look at the communique issued at the end of the Southern Governors meeting, there's one hint there that they were not happy the way his properties was violated without
Yes.
the knowledge of
The
the governor, who happens to be the chief security officer of the state. Now, with the southern governors coming together, should this be seen as a positive step towards a certain part of liberation for southern Nigeria as a whole, and which could also create a path for the agitation for the liberation of Yoruba that has been going on?
Yes, it's a positive development, and definitely, because when we say any self-determination struggle is a political struggle, so you have to look at the way the political situation is evolving, how it affects your own agitations, and how it becomes how it can place your particular agitation in the front burner. So when the governors came out and said, look, you have to inform us before you take this decision. One, they are emphasizing their role as the chief security officers of their states, even though they are defunct. And also, they are also responding to the political nature of those events. When they went to attack or raid Sunday Igboho's home, well, the DSS tries to make it as if it's a criminal issue. But it's not a criminal issue, it's a political issue. So the governor have to step in because of his political nature. That even if Sunday Igboho has arms, as they allege, and all the things that they allege him to be, he became an issue simply because he was employing or deploying those things in his agitation for Yoruba nation. So it's not that he was, if that is, I'm saying that even if he has arms, as they allege, that he was not committing any criminal activity, as it were, with it. He was not an armed robber. He was not a killer, and all the rest of it. So it's his situation is political, and therefore the governors have a duty to step in politically. How it affects the self-determination issue is that when the governors, I said earlier on that it is incumbent on our elected officials to conduct the referendum. When the governors now start waking up to their responsibility, because one of the issues that we keep hearing from people is that when we say the governors and the houses of assembly must do this and do that, then they will say they are not going to do it because they are benefiting from the system. But when the system becomes an issue for them, for their own existence, they are bound to respond. And that's what happened with Sunday Igboho. It could be Sunday Igboho today, whatever attitude or opinion we have about him, that is even irrelevant. It might be Sunday Igboho today, it might be someone else tomorrow. So the bottom line is that these people are exercising their political rights. And when the central government, of course, we expect the central government to respond. They will respond, they will do anything they want to do. So if we expect the central government to respond, then those of us who are making the agitation in whatever form must, one, be ready for that kind of response, be ready to challenge that response, and be able to push the struggle forward. so that we are not constrained by that response. So that today we won't say, they have gone to Sunday Igboho, therefore let us all forget what we are saying. No, well, we can say maybe the way Sunday Igboho is doing it is not the right way or whatever, but there is no, the thing is, there is no, this is not a question of mathematics or arithmetic where it is exact. When you add 2 plus 2, if you have this right base, so you can have 2 plus 2 to be 5 in other base. But let's assume we have the same base, base 10 or base 12. 2 plus 2 is 4. That is exact. But this is a political struggle. This is a political issue. So that what happens at the political arena can affect your strategy, can affect your tactics, and you can also use your tactics and strategy to affect the political arena. So when the governors now reacted the way they did, those of us that are agitating for liberation and must take that as a positive step. All we need to do now is to say, okay, how do we leverage that response to aid what we are demanding? Because when it favors even referendum also, because the powers of the governors, what they can do and what they cannot do, everything resides in that political solution, that political autonomy. And then to even give justification and validation and legitimization of what we are asking for. If the Yoruba people agree in a referendum to this line, then that gives the Igbohos the freedom that they need to do what they are doing without being compromised by the central authorities. Because you don't need to, under Abacha, Bekor and some Kuti and some other people who are accused of treason. I think Abacha sentenced one army officer and I think one journalist to jail for life, simply for printing a communique, for publishing a communique that was issued, or faxing a letter to somebody. So the central government can use any excuse that they want to perpetrate any crime. And then they will now put the crime under some kind of law. And then they say the Attorney General and all, then they will be doing that. One, they will do that to try to put a brake on the agitation, that they will put all of you in a legal bind, that you'll be battling with that for a long while. You won't have time for further agitation. So, and now that, during that time, we had military, I think we had military governments and stuff like that. But now we have civilian governments who are now faced with 2 opportunities. One, whether we achieve what we want or not, all the people from the central government will need the support of the governors to push their own political agenda. So if you have a northern politician or northern power broker, they will still need the support of a southern governor, or let's say governor of your state, to push their agenda. And for that to happen, it means the governor of your state must be politically stable. That is one side of it. The second side of it is that the governor of your state knows that for him to be politically stable, he has to listen to the aspirations of people in Oyo State. So if the governor in Oyo State now says, you must tell me before you do certain thing, those in the central government are bound to listen. Because if they don't listen, they will lose his support in Oyo State. And if he doesn't say that, he will lose the support of the people in Oyo State. So all the people of the self-determination movement needs to do is, okay, so how do we leverage this conflict that resides in the governor? So we are the first line of defense. So all we need to do is to consolidate our issues, because it will also aid him in relating with the people outside Yoruba land or outside of your state. So these are the web the sort of the political web that is around this thing that we must understand, that will allow us to play our parts. We are not playing any games. We are simply looking at the contradictions in the system to do what they want to do, so that even the whole question of coming to raid somebody in the state without the governor's permission is also a political issue that we can even campaign on. And in fact, the governors put themselves in a very difficult, not difficult, in a very dangerous position, because if they ask the governor for permission to go and raid somebody and the governor refuses, they can easily make noise about the governor being aiding and abetting crime and all the rest of it. So they have actually stuck their neck out to say that you must, and I doubt it, if any governor, if they had gone to the governor for your state to say, okay, we are going to raid the Gogo's house, so they may not give him the time, but the governor say, oh, yeah, go ahead and raid it. No, the governor will resist. Whether they now agree with the governor or another is another thing entirely. So they have actually stuck their neck out to demand that they be informed before such an action takes place, especially on such a politically sensitive matter. Yes. So having done that, it is now our responsibility to meet. They have come halfway, as we say in negotiations. So we also need to meet them halfway. And that's why we present our demands. Okay, thank you for doing that. And we appreciate it. Now let us go forward. We are not going to say, because we have made that demand, we are going to keep quiet. No. What we are going to say is, even for your demand to be more effective, it must be backed by a valid and legitimate law of the land. And that is what our referendum is all about. So it's a good thing, and it allows us to be more productive, in our agitation and all the rest of it, while bearing in mind that even those of us who are just talking on the media, talk on the radio and all this and all that, are not safe from the central government, because wars also carry their own effect. So they may be looking at ways to silence, like they are trying to do with social media. Social media is not the only form of media that they are trying to silence. Even the traditional media, with all the FBC regulations and all the rest of them. And that takes me back to the question of self-determination we are talking about. That the self-determination essentially is the expression, the fullest expression of your humanity as expressed by God. So no government has the right to come and try to stop that and say, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't think this way, you can't write this way. So it's a responsibility. It's a responsibility, and all of us are not safe. It is not just Igboho, regardless of what we think about his tactics. It is not just Igboho or anybody. We are all not safe, and if those who are elected are taking such a position, we not only applaud them and support them, but we also meet them with our own alternative, our own conception, so that we can work it out among ourselves.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Before we come to the election permutations, there are, after the DSS obviously has now declared Igboho wanted.
Yes.
I believe that is being challenged. Some people were also arrested from his property. And I think people are dealing with that already. But I want to ask, because it seems that the sort of voice that were on, or voices that were on before about the agitation for liberation, has gone down somehow without the because of the non-presence of Igbo.
Yeah.
And also the protest that was carried out in Lagos.
Yeah.
The police obviously also, where they allowed a little bit, then they wear tear gas, and then some of the leaders or agitators were arrested. I mean, in which now seems that the government wants to actually make protests a criminal offense, maybe not by law, but by its own
By
doing.
force.
Yeah. So at this point, what do you think is the way out? Because when we're talking about agitations for Yoruba liberation, there has to be a contact between the agitators and the public, and that
Yes.
is where we have we have like awareness drives. We also have protests when things are not done right by the
Mhm.
government, whether the state or the central. So with what is playing out now and what might seem, I mean, this is just like in my own view, that what
Yeah.
might seem as maybe the government trying to keep the voices of the people down
Mhm.
ahead of the 2023 election.
Yeah.
What do you think is the way out now?
Okay. Yeah. Actually, it's very simple. See, the
Right.
thing is this. Okay. We should expect the federal government or the central government to do what it has done based on its own origins. So we shouldn't expect them to do any differently because they don't know anything except force. That is one. Two, for those of us who are seeking self-determination, it also shows that mere declaration of self-determination cannot achieve the desired result. And that is one of the major problems that the demonstrators or agitators or protesters or the rally organizers face. Okay, Yoruba Nation now, self-determination by itself, just by making that declaration, cannot bring it about. And in every instance, they have not stated exactly how they want to achieve it. So that gives even the federal government better opportunities, if one can use that way, to suppress them. Because now, like you said, there's nothing out there. Because the only thing out there was Yoruba Nation now. And when they silenced the voice of Yoruba Nation now, there's nothing else to carry it on except probably the sentiment. And we know sentiments cannot go far. So, and that's the terms of our engagement with them all along. That yes, there is a need for agitation, there is a need for connection between public agitation and strategic or tactical thinking, if we can put it that way. And that is where the connection between the elected officials and us and all the rest come in. And that is where the whole question of 2023 election comes in. Like you said, if you look at the Yoruba Nation now, they are saying there will be no elections in Yoruba land in 2023. And our first questions to them is, okay, there are going to be elections in Ekiti and Osun states in 2022. Are you going to allow that? If you allow that in 2022, why don't you allow it in 2023? So there's a contradiction, a confusion right there. That is number one. Number two, from the east, even as at this morning, the Ohanaeze Igbo are still saying that the Igbo should go and register to vote. There are Igbos in Yoruba land who will likely register to vote. Are you going to be fighting the Igbo in Yoruba land to give the central government a pretext for suppressing you so that the Igbo can vote and take over Lagos, like they wanted to do since 1948? These are historical facts. Excuse me. Three, when, when you are engaged in such a struggle, you should also anticipate what your opponent or your enemy can do or will do. So when you push yourself out to demonstrate, which is a right, a fundamental right, but you know that you exercise fundamental right only in a situation where that right exists. Fundamental rights do not exist in Nigeria as it is. What exists are the rights that are granted by the whims of the central government. So once we get that clear, our strategy and our tactics must take that into consideration so that when we demonstrate or when we agitate, we have a concrete roadmap. It is that roadmap, it is that pathway that will sustain the struggle regardless of any suppression. So that if, let's assume that Igboho is agitating for a Yoruba referendum, for example, I'm using it as an example, that all the rallies that he had been going about is, we want a referendum, the Yoruba referendum and all that. And they now did what they did to him. You know that referendum is on ground. Nobody can run away from it. Because yes, they have run him underground, they have done this, they have done that, and there will be lawyers and, all kinds of intervention on his behalf. They will be doing that. But the issue that is on ground is okay. So when the governors are not saying contact us and stuff, they have to address that issue of the referendum. But because there's no pathway, all we have is the sentiment, and you can push sentiment in any direction. A pathway to pathway, you can't put it in any direction unless you create another alternative pathway. And that is the problem that we are facing. So when they now say, that's why I said, the federal government, that's the simplest of the issue, because that's what they will do. The question is, what will we do? And then when we now start saying that we no election in our own land, and other people who are living in our own land as registering for the same election, we are setting ourselves up for failure or for defeat. Because those people, when they vote, are we going to run them out of town? No, because it will be counterproductive. Are we now going to say that we don't want a Yoruba candidate to run in the election? That will also be counterproductive. So if the question of Nigeria is at stake and everybody is laying a claim to Nigeria, and the Yoruba people are saying we don't want to lay a claim, that is also self-defeating. Whether they mean it or not, whether they are playing games with it or not, the North is even saying, even a minority in North Central, Yahaya Bello, who is from Ibira land, is saying zoning is not in the constitution. So everybody is laying its own claim. And you, the Yoruba in Nigeria, are saying, we don't want to be part of it. That is self-defeating. It's self-defeating. So what we are saying is that the Yoruba will say, di atungun, obedi atunse. Apologies to all the elders on the forum. So it is now left for and I will give you another example. There is a group that is aligned with Igboho, or Igboho is aligned with the group called the Ilana Omo Odua. And then, they say they have what they call a constitutional force major on Nigeria. They don't recognize the constitution. They don't do this, they don't do that. And then they said they want to have a referendum organized by whoever. People should register for their referendum. But you know what they did? They now created categories of signatures. They call themselves Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance, so Indigenous Nationalities Alliance. Then, when it came to Yoruba land now, they now said Lagos Christians should register here. as if there are no Yoruba Muslims in Lagos. Lagos Christians should register here. Lagos women should register here. Ilano Omo Odua should register here. So when you look at that, the question is this, and the Secretary General of that group is Igomano Toninadi. I will mention his name because Oroti Dodre. So he now says, Lagos. Who are the Lagos Christians? How about the Yoruba Muslims in Lagos? And then why did you have to separate Lagos from Ilana Odua? As if we are not Yoruba people. So you can see at every point in time, Ohanaeze is saying that they want to register to vote. The Middle Belt, Yahaya Bello and all the rest. We know what the North is saying. So everybody is saying that they want their own part. But then you now have these Yoruba people saying, we are not going to be part of it. So Yoruba is not going to be there. And then they will take over your land. And then you say you want self-determination. What kind of self-determination is that? So we need to go back to the drawing board and evaluate everything that we are doing and that we are saying, so that we don't cut our nose to spite our face. This is, we know the underlying factor. You don't want Tinubu to be this, you don't want Tinubu to be that. Fine, no problem. Tinubu can fight his own battle, but you cannot say because you don't want Tinubu to be something, therefore Yoruba land should be taken over. That is not. It doesn't even make any sense. Whoever has any problem with anybody can have any problem with anybody. But that doesn't mean you should now leave your space for. So when they say, Kali Akata Jino Katu Bedi Ewi, which is a Yoruba saying that the Akata is the Fulani Daron and Awama Bedi Ewi later. I counter that by saying, no, we have two Akatas that are bent on, and in any case, any tofeli Akata Jino, only authority at defend that year.
Then,
if you don't have the authority to defend the Adie, how do you lay Akata Jino? Adie, so the Adie that you want to defend is also angling to take over your land. Proven by history and what we have just said in recent experience till today. And then you say you want to lay Akata Jino. What kind of legend is that? So with 2023 and 2022, 2023 and all the rest of it, we are saying that emotional foundation for a struggle always leads to failure, because once you put everything on emotion, reason flies out, and when reason flies out, you are already setting the people you are dealing with are calculating, and you are seeing their calculations. It is all these things I've said, and you don't make them up. It is in the newspapers. And credible newspapers for that matter, not even social media. I'm talking about Vanguard, I'm talking about Punch, I'm talking about The Nation, I'm talking about all the other papers in print version. So whether fake news or not, so these are things, and they are not being denied by those who are doing it. So I didn't make it up. So we are now sitting down and saying, Yoruba Nation now, Yoruba Nation now. We don't have any particular strategy towards achieving it. And then we are saying we want to distort elections in Yoruba land so that there will be no elections in 2023. And these people are gathering like vultures. And then you say you are fighting for Yoruba. You are not fighting for the Yoruba Nation for that. So let us be clear as to what we are doing and where we want to go and how we are doing it. And then God help us all.
Amen. Thank you very much for that, sir. We'll still be proceeding on a short break now. When we come back, we'll be rounding up the sessions, and we'll be obviously you've mentioned a part of what we were going to talk about, which is the political movements from other regions, and we're just trying to put this one side by side with the what seems to be like the roots that the agitators for Yoruba nation or Yoruba liberation or Yoruba self-determination are following, so that we can put ourselves on the right path. After this, we will be coming back. So do stay on with us. Right, listeners, we will be coming back after this shorter break. We still have Mr. Femi Odedeyi from Yoruba Referendum Committee with us. So please do stay on, because we'll be right.
èmi ò lọ́nà méjì láyé tó dorin lọ orin ṣá ni iṣẹ́ mi ò tó dá mi lójú ẹ pè wá síbi ayẹyẹ ìyẹn nígbàkúgbà Judgment is a player o Oṣùọjọ́ Ọlámímẹ́tì ló ń pèdè ẹ̀mújó akọrin bí ẹni jẹ̀kọ́ o ìjòyà Ọlámímẹ́tì ló ń pèdè ẹ̀mújó akọrin bí ẹni jẹ̀kọ́ ìjòyà.
Ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ bọ̀bọ̀ alóyin lòun àpèdè má pè tànà ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ lóde ìbànújẹ́ èèwọ̀ òrìṣà ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ́ba ń jó gbogbo wa ló mọ̀ yẹ ká mú pátì dùn ṣebí tiwa ni ara ò ní tán nílé alára láíláí ilé mo borin ilé mo bálù àtàndá ti ṣẹ́kọ̀ náà ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń fẹ́ wa ẹ̀ máa ṣe gan-an.
Àgbàrá òjò olówó nílé wo bí sọdún onílé ní orí gbà fún un. Èyí ti rí èyí ti ṣe àkọ́kọ́ dáyé àṣebáyé kó kárìnrìn kanaka sọ̀rọ̀ balala òpẹ́ kò jìnnà wọn láti kán. Ṣé Fúlàní yóò wá torí wa ni? Àgbààgbà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá ẹ dìde o. Ẹ̀yin Àgbẹ̀kọ̀yà ẹ dìde. Ogun Fúlàní ò gbọ́dọ̀ borí wa. Tani yóò padà táyé sí o. Ẹ̀yin àgbààgbà ìlú kí ló dé o. Tẹ́bí ń ṣòro bí ewé kí ló dé. Ẹ̀yin ṣe yan bí ọ̀gá èyí ti ṣe. Àgbà ìlú aṣòro yéwé. Wọ́n bá wá ní bàbúgbà ẹ̀fọ́ wọlé rán ẹ̀sìn ń gbòòrò. Àmọ̀dé ìgbà tí Fúlàní bá gbẹ̀mí gbogbo lé tán. Ọjọ́ ọ̀la wá sórí ìgbà tí wọ́n bá fi ìlànà. Wọ́n lè ní àjàsóró.
Right, you're welcome back to the last segment of our discourse with the coordinator of Yoruba Referendum Committee, Mr. Femi Odedeyi, Alagba Femi Odedeyi. And you see that in the last segment, wọ́n pa àwọn òwe àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn àgbààgbà fún wa. Àmàmàrí yín bá ẹ̀kú àgbà. This will be the last segment of our chat today about Yoruba Liberation and 2023 elections. And we're just situating things with what is going back at home and the narrative of the agitators for Yoruba Liberation. So you are welcome back on the program, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Before we went on the on that short break, you did mention about the Oyanaze Ndigbo, their direction to the Ndigbo to go and register.
Yes.
The ongoing voters registration. So they actually, in fact, their message was to the youth, or is to the youth.
Yeah.
Because I think they find out that majority of the youth, because of some couple of things that happened in some few years back, right up until now, some of them actually do not want to vote. But now they are asking them, this voters registration that is ongoing, you need to go and register. In fact, there's a statement they made at the end of that piece, that the only way for them to achieve the agitation in Nigeria is through this process, which is democratic process. And then we begin to look at it, that these same people, or part of the same people, are part of the group that have issued the force majeure against the Nigerian government, that have said they no longer believe the constitution is binding on them. And now we have this. How do we situate what is happening now with that direction from the, I mean, we all know the Oyanaze in Igbo is like a major voice for the people of that section. So if they are asking, meanwhile, Nnamdi Kanu is from that same place.
Yes.
Just to also mention, the same Oyanaze Ndigbo said they are putting together a legal team, to which will be a legal team, and of course some elders of Ndigbo, to ensure that Nnamdi Kanu gets a free and fair trial. Yes. So they are both covering that, but they are also telling their youth that they need to go and register, so that the aspiration of the Ndigbo, they believe that it's only through this democratic process that they can secure that aspiration. Now, let's bring it down to us in Yoruba land. And we've mentioned this before, although all these groups are in Ninas with other minority ethnic communities, but it seems that it's the Yoruba agitation that is actually the loudest.
Yes.
Where we have seen people actually coming out to talk about Yoruba nation now, or we want a referendum, and then we have this narrative about there's not going to be an election in 2023. The two major ethnic nationality in that group is the Yoruba and the Ndigbo. So if we have these happening with the Ndigbo, covering Nnamdi Kanu to ensure that he gets a fair trial, but also pursuing their electoral benefits through the ongoing registration, which is obviously under the Constitution of Nigeria. And then we have us on this side, and we are saying, I'm not saying that all of us, but then, I mean, it's a major narrative that there won't be election in 2023, which I've also, I think I've heard about one or two Yoruba elders also mentioned that. So how do we situate this, and would us not become a negotiating factor?
I think what is happening is there is it appears as if the Yoruba people or Yoruba land is, let me use a somewhat spiritual word. They are bewitched. They have closed their eyes simply because I want to believe that they don't like a particular individual. So they are ready to cut their nose to spite their face. And the evidence is there. Here is it. You know, the first time Kanu was arrested, it was the senator, is it Abaribe or somebody, who stood surety for him. Probably if not for the invasion of his house and all that, he probably would not have run away and all that. But you can see the multifaceted approach that the Igbo are taking. That is, Yes, Kanu has his own problems, including against Yoruba and all the rest. I mean, there was a time he caused any Igbo who is attending any church pastored by a Yoruba person and all that. Okay, so let's leave all that aside. But within Igbo land, they allow them to do whatever it is they want to do. They have their political agenda in place through the Ohanaeze. Yes, they may not achieve what they want to achieve because of negotiation and all that, but they are purposeful. They know where they are going. Among them, they have the same kind of political infighting that exists. Okorocha, they even accuse Okorocha of being a Fulani slave or whatever it is they accuse him of, and all the rest of them, and all kinds of stuff. But despite that confusion, they try to retain their place within the Nigerian political firmament. If you now come to us, while it had happened before, during the Obasanjo time and all the rest of it. So, but at today's rate, it now appears as if, that's why I use the word bewitched, that we don't even know what we are doing. That, yes, you want Yoruba nation now. You are part of a group of nationalities that declared the force majeure. You don't want a particular person to run for president or to become president. Meanwhile, all your fellow members in all the groups that you belong to, while Afenifere is talking about restructuring before election and all that, the Ohanaeze are saying that they want to be president. Afenifere never said Yoruba should be president. They belong to the same Southern Middle Belt coalition that are demanding restructuring. Ohanaeze is saying, yes, we want to be president. Afenifere is saying, Ohanaeze is saying they want restructuring, they also want to be president. Afenifere is saying they want restructuring, but they are not saying anything about the presidency. Ilano, on the militant side, Ilano is saying they declare constitutional force majeure, there will be no election. The Igbo are saying they declare constitutional force majeure in the same Ninas, but they want Lagos Christians to register separately. Who are the Lagos Christians? So everything that the Yoruba, whether on the militant side, as Ilano or Sunday Igboho and all the rest of them, whether they are on that side or on the non-militant side, which is Afenifere, you find them retreating from pursuing anything Yoruba, despite their name. You find their allies in their alliances, you find them promoting their own positions. So the only conclusion you can reach is that these groups, at Afenifere New, at Ilana New, and all the rest, they are not promoting anything Yoruba, despite any claim that they make, because they are not doing it in practical terms. There's nothing stopping the Yoruba and the Igbo from competing for the Nigerian presidency on their own terms. And then, to go beyond that, you now discover a series of what I would call revisions in Yoruba Igbo history. And then you find people saying, if Yoruba had supported Biafra, this thing would not have happened. But Biafra was sending troops to Yoruba land when the Yoruba people had already negotiated the removal of northern troops from Yoruba land. It was the day they were going to leave Ibadan, that northern troops were going to leave Ibadan, that Biafran troops entered Ore. And then you are saying Yoruba should have supported Biafra. When Victor Banjo, who led the troop in his own confused manner, because he considered himself a Nigerian, when he was leading the troops, Ojukwu gave him specific instructions that when you get to Lagos and you take over Lagos, before you take any decision, you must obtain permission from Enugu. These are the things people say we should support, or they are now saying we should support. When you now have and all the troops that you are bringing are Igbo troops. Even the way they entered Midwest, they didn't allow the Midwest officers to know until they reached Benin. That was how the Ogbemudias and all the rest of them came up to resist them. And then they were coming to, and for whatever we might say of Obasanjo, Obasanjo was there. And then he said, okay, Banjo wanted to get permission from Obasanjo to come to Lagos. And Obasanjo said, no problem. If you want to go to Lagos, you are not coming through Ore, go through Okitipupa. So by the time you get to Okitipupa, so everybody that is somebody at that time, no matter, we knew the purpose of that invasion. It was not only, we didn't ask them to come and liberate us. We have already negotiated our own liberation.
Liberation, yes.
And people are now saying we should have supported them. If we had supported them, we would have defeated the North, which is all balderdash. Anyway, so these are the realities that are facing us today. So if an Afenifere or an Ilana cannot say, even if you don't want a particular individual, put somebody else up. Let them know that we are not going to cede this thing without a struggle. Well, no matter, and everybody now knows that Nigeria needs some kind of stuff. So if there is the only way you can even create a constitutional force majeure is for the constitution not to be workable. So let everybody, let the West control the West electorally, the East control the East electorally, the Middle Belt and the North, let them control wherever they want to control. And then nobody will win the election, and then we are forced to negotiate. But when you cede your own territory by all these shenanigans, we should not blame the outsider. We should look inward and say that we have a wrong strategy. We should be able to tell each other, look each other in the face. What you are doing, your strategy is wrong. Plain and simple. This is not about insulting anybody or disrespecting anybody. You cannot be in the same alliance with somebody who wants to have election in your own land, and you are saying your own land should not participate in that election, and you are saying you are fighting for the same thing. It doesn't make any sense. You cannot be talking about Lagos Christians as if there is a war between Christians in Lagos and as if there is a war in Lagos, which is even contrary to our history. There are many Yoruba Muslims in Lagos that contributed to the development of Lagos that you can mention. Babatunde Joseph, Shafi, to all the rest of them. They are Yoruba Muslims now. So how can somebody now come and say that we want to conduct a referendum among them? If it's a Christian Association of Nigeria that says they want to create a Christian census, they can be doing that. But you are saying you are an indigenous nationality. So where is the indigenous nationality in Lagos Christians?
Yeah.
So these are the issues. That's why I use the word bewitched. So it appears as if, for Christians, I think it was Paul that said that who has bewitched you, all Galatians. Who has bewitched you, all you Yoruba people? Anyway, so let us. I don't know whether this is an way or a saying. A proverb or a saying. Let us see beyond the tears in our eyes, or let us remove any cobweb. I'm not saying any particular individual should be anything. And you can hate anybody to anywhere. That's your own problem. But you cannot say because you don't want this particular individual, therefore anybody can come and take over your land. Because you are saying you are talking about Fulani, when they do their own thing, and then the other people come and take over their own thing, where are you going to be? Simply because anytime the person that you want can run away and go and live his life somewhere else. I they feel like a brother around.
Yeah. Ben.
So where does that take us? Where does that take us? So we need to. That's why the advantage. Because again, to be critical without providing an alternative is also dangerous. That's why we say that when we engage our politicians and our elders, we engage them with a program of action. And that is where the referendum comes in. That we are saying, okay, we find ourselves in this situation. Once we are able to do this referendum, we will have the legal, legitimate, and valid right to now negotiate with the rest of the country. Even that if they refuse to, and another thing, if we are saying because they don't agree in Yoruba, if we are saying we want a referendum in Yoruba land, why are you not asking them to conduct a referendum in their own areas?
In their own areas, yeah.
And then you are in the same alliance. So you can see the problem that we have in Yoruba land, and that is why we are saying that referendum is the rescue, is the pathway. Let us all come together with it, confront our government, engage, not confront, engage our governors and the assembly. That gives us the leverage that we can use to negotiate or do anything we want to do with anybody else. And then those who don't want anybody to be president, they can be comfortable. The person they don't want to be president can be comfortable. Those who don't care about either will be comfortable. Because we have a negotiating tool that we can use.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. There's another question, and that has to do with the referendum, by the Yoruba Referendum Committee. Just to state again that at the moment, now where is it? I'm trying to get that thing back right on. The signature stands at over
9,200 and something.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to get it back for us because of the question that I want to put across to you, sir.
Yes.
Okay, we're here to stream. Okay, so we have it now at 9,411.
Yes.
And the question that came forward is that now is it necessary, or must the referendum happen before the election of 2023? I mean, you have also mentioned that there are some elections that will take place even before 2023, and which the activities are on already.
Yes.
Now, so the question is, now if the referendum, we're looking at referendum for the liberation of Yoruba, will it only be relevant if this referendum is conducted before the 2023 election, or it doesn't matter?
No, it matters a lot that it must be conducted before 2023 election, even before 2022 election, if possible. It is the key that will liberate Yoruba land. I mean, I'm not forcing it on anyone, but I'm saying from my own political analysis and understanding, it is the key that will resolve all these problems we are talking about. So it is very important that the referendum is conducted, if possible, before 2022 election, if not possible immediately after 2022 election, but definitely before 2023 election. And the reason is this. We have analyzed how other sections of Nigeria are, making their own permutations and doing their own thing and stuff like that, while we are like not knowing where we want to do or even ready to allow anybody to come and do anything. So we need, and because self-determination is not even just talking about having presidential powers. We are talking about the self-expression of our aspirations, talking about the development of our language, our humanity, and everything like that. So all the connection between 2023 elections and our referendum is to allow us to have a political field of ourselves to negotiate with the rest of the country. That's why the referendum is important, that it allows us, one, to come to have a regional approach to every other thing that will happen. So that, one, we will not allow any, if we have the referendum before 2023 elections, Nigeria cannot conduct election in Yoruba land in 2023 because of that. That protects Yoruba land from any permutation that they want. Now the federal government can say no, they don't. Should be because we have the referendum and we have empowered ourselves and legitimized ourselves. It's no longer going to be an Ikuhu thing or any individual. The federal government or the central government will have to take on the entire Yoruba land based on the result of that referendum. And of course, they will even try to fight it to make sure it doesn't go before it happens, because they know the implication. They will know the implication. So it is very crucial. That is our defense. That, in fact, that's the only defense for now that we have. So all our efforts are geared towards. That's why we put ourselves at every 5,000. We made it 5,000 just to be sure that we have sizable numbers. Otherwise, we have made it every 1,000. Then it becomes a joke. We don't want it to become a joke. So if we see it from that perspective, then every hand should be on deck to push and encourage the houses of assembly to pass that law and conduct that referendum. That will solve all the problems that we have, because it gives us the capacity to act. Also, all these things that the governors are demanding for. You must take permission before you do this. You must take permission before. It has taken care of it, because we have a constitutional commission that will be addressing those issues, that will negotiate with Ohaneze, that will negotiate with Midugbe, that will negotiate with central government, that will even negotiate with the international forces. We have a valid and legitimate issue that we are defending and that we are promoting. And we should just go for it. So if all these things, all these people, and this what I'm going to say now, we have said it privately to several people, drop any other agitation. Let us pursue this thing. Yoruba organization, thousands of them. Drop everything that we are doing. Let us concentrate, one, because if we do that, even the governors and the houses of assembly themselves will know that we are serious about it. Meanwhile, the Southwest APC, the APC in the Southwest, they are saying they want true federalism and all that. We don't know how they are going to do it or what they mean by it. It forces their hand to say yes or no. Then, once we put all the eggs in that basket, and something that is achievable, let the governors now come and say they are not going to do it. That's what I'm saying. So if they now say they are not going to do it, or the houses of assembly say they are not going to do it, then it puts a lie to whatever they are saying, that they should come and take permission from them before they attack anybody. Because if we say they should come and take permission from you before you attack, and before they attack anybody in the West, and we are saying let us have a constitutional and legal framework for that demand, and you are denying it, then it means you are not serious about it. And then we can look for other other means. So if they now say, who are we? We say, yes, all those of us who have signed the petition, even though we may not be able to gather in one place for a rally or for a demonstration, the fact that we have it gives us a legitimate right to act on behalf of Yoruba people. So the repercussion can be even more than that. We will no longer be separate, quote unquote, socio-political organizations. We have a solid thing we are fighting for, and we can duly represent Yoruba people anywhere based on that. So there are many things that are connected with this thing, and my prayer is that people's eyes will be opened to see the advantages in it and flow with it.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. There's one other ones that I will want to point to,
Yes.
and this is by is said to be the founder of original IPOB.
Yes.
By name Eme Kesiri.
Yeah.
And this is a report from Vanguard. And what he's saying is that, in fact, he said he submitted a document to the National Assembly in the ongoing constitutional review of the 1999 Constitution. Well, he said his own IPOB favors and have been pursuing restructuring, and that he believes that what they should have is a sort of a restructuring where the Indigo are able to get their own region, which is basically what you are also saying from the Yoruba Referendum Committee. He also spoke about until a time when they will be able to have a referendum and people can actually say what exactly they want. Yes. Now, that would be like a minority voice in this from that, because we've not been hearing the majority of the people talking about referendum from that side.
Yes.
So with maybe someone like this, and I want to juggle this. I need to explain this question very well.
Yes.
Whether there could be an alliance with maybe others from that have this same mindset or this same focus about having a referendum. Whether there could be a sort of an alliance in a way whereby that alliance will not impact the operation of referendum from the other side. Let's say, for instance, let's look at the Southern governors.
Yes.
When they came together, they had a meeting and they issued a statement. Now, and that's talking about power in numbers.
Yes.
Because all of them most likely will be taken serious by the central government than if maybe it's just the governor of Wales State that is saying it. Okay. So, and that's what I'm saying, that maybe this block of maybe leaders from other ethnic nationalities actually calling for a referendum. If that could be achieved, will it have a positive impact for us in Yoruba land? Or will it be like the Ninas, where we have all these people talking about force majeure, not being under the Constitution, but when it actually comes to taking steps, majority of them are quiet and they are pursuing other areas to solidify their own political status within the Nigerian system, while it seems to be only the Yoruba that is going out there to shout and people are being arrested and attacked by the government.
Yes. You see, the problem has resolved itself we don't need a formal alliance, because again, if you have a formal alliance, then you'll be meeting somewhere, you'll be issuing statements and doing this and all that. The demand for a referendum, if it is anchored on your local assembly to conduct the referendum, we, the Yoruba and the Igbo, don't need to sit down to form an alliance to get that done.
Yeah.
All we need to do is to agree, formally or informally, that we need a referendum in Igbo land, in Yoruba land, in Niger Delta, or anywhere. And then each one of us will now go to our different regions and mobilize for that referendum in those regions. Because one, each region also has its own specific needs. Like in the Niger Delta, you have several nationalities that may first of all come together to form some kind of federation or whatever it is, and all that. Or in the Middle Belt, where you have the Yoruba in Kwara and Kogi states, but you can't get their houses of assembly to pass such a law because they don't have dominant, they are not dominant in those houses of assembly. So we have to find a way to work that out. So the alliance will be held together in an informal manner when each of the nationalities take the responsibility to engage their own assemblies to conduct the referendum. So we don't need any Ninas or any Southern this and that for that. It has taken care of itself. Problems arise when we don't agree. Like that IPOB guy who said they are the original. Okay, he said they want a referendum, but he wants this National Assembly to conduct it. And we are saying, no, the National Assembly cannot conduct such a referendum, but your local assembly can do so. So what he has done is also a response to the political developments in his own region, because the dominant perspective in the East is to get the Nigerian presidency. So they are not really keen on getting their assemblymen to do the referendum in Eastern region.
Right.
I'm not in where they call Biafra. So now they pass it on to the central government, and then you have the infighting among them from whether which part constitutes Biafra or doesn't constitute Biafra and all that. So we don't need any formality, but it is embedded in the question. The answer is embedded in the question. Okay, if we want a peaceful way to address this thing, and the referendum is adjudged to be the peaceful way, then the first question is, who will conduct that referendum? We can answer that question without forming an alliance. And we have answered the question by saying it is your local assemblies, that is the assemblies in your zone or area, that will conduct the referendum. Once we get to that point, the question is, how do we engage our governors and our houses of assembly to conduct the referendum? We don't need any alliance for that. I mean, a formal alliance, we don't need for that, because even the pace may be different. So when the Southern governors come around, when the governors can form an alliance, because they are administrators, they are state administrators. They work with each other and all the rest of them. So all they will need is, okay, the Yoruba governors among them can tell them, okay, we are going to conduct a referendum on August 1. I'm using it for example.
Yes.
And then the Eastern governors will say, we are not ready, let us shift it to August 8 or August 10. And then they can negotiate among themselves. But because the draft for the referendum has come from their internal areas, then they can negotiate it among themselves and then conduct it. But for those who are making the agitation and those who are supporting it, they don't need any formal alliance, because the thing is clear. You have your state houses of assembly, you have your governors, and you know what you want to ask them. So we don't need to waste time for any, because to have an alliance is to have a committee or spokesperson or leader.
Right.
And then the central government will find a way to neutralize that person. And that person will be running all over the place, go underground, go overground. And then we'll be getting lawyers to go and no, we don't need all that. You know.
Okay.
So let's it is good that he's even talking about referendum but let him take it to his people in the eastern region, in the assemblies of the eastern region, just like we are trying to do in our own case.
Yes.
So when you have it like that, it will even be more difficult for the central government to suppress.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
So
definitely. I don't know whether I've played this this video of Buhari saying that the IPOP people could actually organize.
We did
I
this
think
thing.
we played it once. So it's just like bring it out back as a reminder that even Buhari himself did mention that, I mean, people could go back to their place, although he was talking particularly about the IPOB youth, the Biafran youth, in that interview with Amamporo. And he said, instead of them to be disrupting and calling for Biafra, that why don't they go to their place, I mean, maybe their state or something, organize and conduct an election within themselves and demand a state within a state. So I think that's just like the referendum we're talking about, where people are meant to go back to their local, like you are saying, their local assemblies and where they are from, and then conduct an election to demand for this is how we want to be governed, or how we want ourselves to be governed, and which result will be binding on the government. So for Buhari himself to have said that, then that means is a route that is available, irrespective of what other people might be saying, that there are some things that are not in the Constitution. We gradually rounding up. I want you to stress again the importance of achieving this referendum, whether it's in pushing for the referendum bill, to be passed into, because I think it's a draft bill to be passed into a law, and if possible, to have the referendum conducted before 2023 election. I want you to please stress that again, so that, I mean, those people that are hearing it for the first time or that might not understand yet the importance of this state, like that would be like, could we say, ethnic nationality conducted referendum, the importance of it and the impact of it, or what the impact of it will be in the lives of our people.
Because that is true, because what we are saying is that definitely Nigeria is at a crossroads, as everyone knows, and everybody is saying it, including even the National Assembly is talking about amending this, amending that, and all that. So we all know. Now the question is, what do we do about it? The forces in contention, and this is not even a question of whether Nigeria is indivisible or not indivisible, or who wants to divide Nigeria, because anything created by man can be changed by man. So let's leave that aside. If we don't have the referendum before 2023, someone will be made or elected or selected as the president. Two things will happen when you have that. Let's assume someone from anywhere. Okay, Buhari has done what he has done. He has appointed all his people into all the places and stuff. So the next thing is that the next president, whoever, wherever he comes from, let's say he comes from the south, will have to undo all those things and probably elect or select his own people also. And then we start crying again that this guy is, we cried about Jonathan, that the job people are doing this and that. Buhari is doing the same thing. So the next person will come and then do the same thing, removing all the people and putting his own people there. Meanwhile, underdevelopment of Nigeria goes down the drain. And then we'll be, so to put a stop to all that means that everyone, every component of Nigeria must be able to define their place in the world. Like we have said earlier, okay, the Yoruba people spread up to Ghana. The Fulani people that we are talking about spread all the way to Senegal, even whether their numbers are not as great as the Yoruba or not. Even up the way to Cameroon. Because if you remember I think there was a plebiscite, the Adamawa province that we have today used to be part of Northern Cameroon. So most of the nationalities in Nigeria are cross-border nationalities. So what we are saying is that if we don't grasp history by the cusp, we are on the cusp of history. So we don't want to be repeating the same thing over and over again. Somebody gets there, puts his people there, we cry. The naira falls to 1,000 naira to $1. Somebody else goes there, we do the same thing. Then they start saying we should learn Chinese. We should learn everything that we are learning is non-African. Nobody is even asking us to learn Kiswahili. So all those things. So we are now saying because the only time that Nigeria had any modicum of development was the period before 1960, when you had regional administrations and all that. We all know it. So what we are saying is that we cannot, the only way Nigeria can even sustain itself is what Buhari is doing. That is, to have a Nigeria under one hegemony. So they will be fighting over who controls that hegemony. That is what Buhari is doing. So is that the life we want to live? Whether our struggle will be to be part of that hegemony. The next thing they will ask us to do is to learn Fufude. Anyway, that's an African language. So maybe that may be acceptable. Accept the Chinese. I'm just kidding. But what I'm saying is the import of doing this goes beyond who is the president or who will not be president, but the essence of us as human beings. So if we conduct the referendum before the election, that gives us, that is 2023 election, that gives us the capacity to defend and promote our regime, either locally or internationally, because they will be forced to negotiate with us. We will be able to define what we want in the way we want it. And they cannot come and start saying, do this. They put out something last week about cut-off marks. The next day we will have university admission, and they have to do 2 marks for one state, 200 marks for another. Who needs all that? So it is the referendum, the Yoruba referendum, is an existential matter. It is a matter of, let me say, life and death for Yoruba people, that we must have it before 2023 elections, because that is the only way we can sustain our strength, we can sustain our engagement with other people, and we can actually express ourselves as God intended us to be. So there's no, it is not rocket science. And then the membership, when we are doing the petition and all that, is to be able to, one senator, Yoruba Senator, Majibola Bashiru, this is the spokesperson for the National Assembly. He said those who are agitating for this and that, they are minorities. What he meant by that, but what is a minority? So to avoid all that, so when he tells us we are a minority, we'll be able to say, no, we are not a minority. We have this number of people that are demanding this thing, who are more than those who voted for you in your local area election. So you can't come and tell us we are a minority. So that is the purpose and the input of the petition. It gives us also the capacity and the ability to say we are representatives, we are representing Yoruba people, and this is what we are doing. And thankfully, the platform we are using, we didn't design it. It was designed specifically for the purpose of influencing policy decisions and they have been using it. So we can always point to it and say, look, this is the number of people that have done this, and this is where we are going with it. So you can't run. So that is one, to continue to increase the number of signatures. And then two, to ensure that we push, because the faster we push that this referendum must be held before 2023, the better for us in Yoruba land. That it will disallow, or it will reduce the possibility of somebody else coming to dictate our future for us. It will allow us to have a collective position on any relations with anybody in Nigeria. Then it will allow us to define exactly how do we want to live our lives. Is it in Omoluabi? What is Omoluabi concept? How do we define it? It will also protect our language, because we can use our language in our educational institutions specifically. That is the only way to allow the language to live and not to die, because it becomes part of your reproduction process. So all these things play a role. And we are not just, if we don't do it before 2023, and they conduct the election, regardless of those who say they don't want election in Yoruba land. Like I said the last time, I think there was an election in Ethiopia, even when there was a war going on in Tigray. They conducted the election, and the party in power said they won the election, and they put the guy, and the guy is there now. Although they defeated militarily, but so they will put someone there. So if we don't do it, somebody will be president, and then we'll start running around again. And we don't want you to do this. We don't want you to do that. We don't want to, this is not what we bargained for, when we already have the solution. So to prevent that from happening, that is the major reason why we must have the referendum before 2023 election. And it is incumbent on our houses of assembly and the governors to conduct it. And that should be our major demand from now. Even before the 2022 election in Ekiti and Osun State. If we can't conduct it before then we will be able to ask those who are contesting for elections in Osun and Ekiti, are you going to conduct this referendum or not? That should be the major, let's forget about, if we have any development, we won't be referring to the regional administration as the golden era now. Since 1966, every reference to development is about what Awolowo did between 1951 and 1959.
Yes.
Nobody made this reference in any other period. So if regional administration is not that good, why is it the only period that we are pointing at as our period of development? So that should be a food for thought. So let us put all our eggs in one basket, on this one basket, and go for it.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for being with us again this week. We've
Yes.
covered many grants there.
Yes.
And I actually look at the petition again.
Yeah. It's also
What we
increasing.
have
Yeah.
here is about, I mean, people have shared it about 7,000. I mean,
Mhm.
over 7,000 shares. And
Yes.
it's got about 150 views.
Yes. Yes.
So, and from what we have here, we need about 787
Yeah.
to get to
So we get
10,000.
to 10,000. Yes.
So the our viewers, both those that are watching us live and those that will still watch these live streaming, we need about 787 signatures from Yoruba people, from our
Yes.
people.
Yes.
Well, we are more than that. We are
Yeah.
in millions.
Yeah.
So please sign it. Remember, once it's 10,000,
We are
a
going to give it to the.
follow-up letter will be sent to all the governors of the Southwest Yoruba state, as well as the executives of the state houses of assembly across the Southwest. So it's imperative, as you've heard, uh, with people that are saying there will be no election and other narratives. One way that Yoruba could control what happens next in Nigeria, whether those that want restructuring, those that are clamoring for presidency, and those that are saying, no, we don't even want any election. The only way, peaceful way, because there are many ways, but the peaceful way is by pushing for the referendum. Like I've mentioned earlier, Buhari himself did mention that people could go and vote in their region or their state to demand for what they want, a state within a state. If we're able to do this referendum, it changes the whole thing, because if all the Yorubas, through a vote, decided to come together rather than fragment of states, and we voted to come together as a state, that automatically destroys the 1999 constitution,
Exactly.
and the government has to give attention to it. So
Yes.
there are ways to do things, just like we've mentioned earlier also, that there are times people do right things, but if it's done in the wrong way, it will not achieve the result that it should achieve.
Yeah.
But when the right things are done the right way, then we should be expectant of the right result. So that's 787 votes, signatures that is left for us to get to that threshold where the governors will be engaging in. And it's quite very, very important now that they've now actually come together to speak as governors to the central government, that this gets in, and that could begin also to shape things.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for everyone that have joined us as viewers today, and of course to Alagba Femi Odedeyi. Thank you very much for
Thank you
joining us.
thank you. Thank you for using the platform, and God will bless all of us, your efforts and everything. And the listeners will have the patience to listen and make their own contributions, directly or indirectly, writing you, letting you know their concerns and all that. So, thank you.
So we will also be connecting back with you in 2 weeks' time.
And things will also have happened.
Things will have happened, because in Nigeria is every day new. So by then we'll be able to keep up with what the situations are, because I think the best thing we could be doing now is actually situating the agitation for liberation in Yoruba land with what is going on the ground. And we hope that there will be progress. We also keep tab of other things that are also happening all over the world, since people are also taking the agitation to outside of the borders of Nigeria. So thank you very much, sir, and our regards to your family.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, sir.
All right.
So, listeners, that is us, listeners and viewers, that is us coming to the end of this program. Remember, we are on Saturdays at 3 o'clock, that's 3 p.m. UK time, every Saturday on OY Media Scotland. And of course, on Sundays, just like this, please connect with us at 6 p.m. Thank you very much, and we will see you then.
èmi ò lọ́nà méjì láyé tó dorin lọ orin ṣá ni iṣẹ́ mi ò tó dá mi lójú ẹ pè wá síbi ayẹyẹ ìyẹn nígbàkúgbà Yejement is a player o Oṣùọjò Bọ́lá mi mẹ́tì ló ń pèdè ẹ̀mújó akọrin bí ẹni jẹ̀kọ́ o ìjòyà Bọ́lá mi mẹ́tì ló ń pèdè ẹ̀mújó akọrin bí ẹni jẹ̀kọ́ ìjòyà.
ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ bọ̀bọ̀ alóyin lòun àpèdè má pè tànà ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ ròde ìbànújẹ́ èèwọ̀ òrìṣà ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ́ba ń jó gbogbo wa ló mọ̀ yẹ ká mú pátì dùn ṣebí tiwa ni àrà ò ní tán nílé alára láíláí ilé mo borin ilé mo bálù àtàndá ti ṣẹ́kọ̀ náà ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń fẹ́ wa ẹ̀ máa ṣe gan-an.
Èé ti rí èé ti ṣe àkọ́kọ́ dáyé àṣebáyé kún kárìnrì kan láká sọ̀rọ̀ balala òpẹ́ kò jìnnà wọn láti gbọ́ ṣé Fúlàní yóò wá torí ìwà ni àgbààgbà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá ẹ dìde o ẹ̀yin Àgbẹ̀kọ̀yà ẹ dìde ogun Fúlàní ò gbọ́dọ̀ orí wa láàní yóò bá àdàtà yéṣu ẹ̀yin àgbààgbà ìlú kí ló dé o lẹ́yìn ìṣòro bí ewé kí ló dé ẹ̀yin ṣe yan bí ọba èyí ti ṣe àgbà ìlú aṣòro yéwé. Wọ́n bá wá ní bàbúgbà ẹ̀fọ́ wọlé rán ẹ̀sìn tó rọ̀ àmọ́dé kàbí Fúlàní bá gbẹ̀mí gbogbo létán ọjọ́ ọ̀la wá.